In this video, we are going to learn about Bitquery's Algorand Smart Contract Calls API. All the API links will be in the description along with Bitquery Telegram channel link. You guys will need to sign up first at id.bitquery.io and you will get free 10,000 points to run and test your APIs. We're going to see three APIs in this tutorial around Algorand's smart contract calls. First one will be API to get count of unique smart contract calls in the last block. Second one will be API to track newly created assets on Algorand. Third one will be API to get count of each transaction type since the Genesis block of Algorand. So make sure that this is API v1 here. We have Algorand and API v1 only right now. Let's get started with our first API. We're getting count of unique calls in the latest block. So select Algorand, then select network as Algorand, which is Algorand mainnet basically, and then select smart contract calls. Select options and specify the order of responses according to block timestamp field and put the limit as 1 because we only want the last latest block in our response and the count in that block of the unique smart contract calls. Now select the attributes you need info about. Select block timestamp ISO 8601 and then do the count of unique calls. We can run this query and we'll get our result. Moving on to the second API, we are tracking latest created assets on Algorand. We are going to use smart contract calls API of Bitquery for this too. Select Algorand and then network as Algorand and then select smart contract calls. Then select options and descending order in terms of block timestamp ISO 8601. Then put the limit as 10. Select transaction type as ACFG. ACFG stands for asset config. Now filters are done and we are going to get the fields that we need. Select block timestamp ISO 8601 as we have used that in our options for ordering the responses. Then select smart contract, address and annotation. You can also get the source code or white code, but I'm not going to select that. Then select transaction, hash, transaction sender address, transaction type just to double check. And now let's run this query and get the latest 10 responses of asset config transactions. You can see the response. Now moving on to the third API, we are getting count of each transaction type since the Genesis block. Select Algorand, the network is Algorand, then select smart contract calls, and now select the fields you need info about. So we need to group by the transaction type, right? So we need to select these differently colored attributes are basically filters, and these are the fields that you can get. Group by transaction type, and just do the count of it. Now I'm going to select the options and give it a descending order by count, like which transaction type has the most count. Now let's run this query and you can see the responses. Application calls are the most, and then transfer, and then pay, then asset config, and then key, and then asset freeze. So these were the examples of Bitquery's Algorand smart contract calls API. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.